Welcome to the Akashic Reading Podcast, presented by AkashicReading.com, the place where you can learn to access your soul's wisdom, or at least stop digging the hole any deeper. I'm your host, Terry Uktana, and today we'll be going through the 7 sections which make up each individual soul book and what subjects they cover. A portion of the Akashic Library contains what most people think of as Akashic records, or what I call soul books. Each soul book is the complete, complex living record of an individual soul. These are the records Akashic readers seek to access when providing an Akashic reading. An Akashic record or soul book is one complete record separated into 7 different sections: past lives, reintegration, soul identity, career, notes on this life, relationship map, and opportunity map. Each section is not simply pages with words which relate concepts like a textbook, but is an interactive information system providing full immersion for the reader. Some pull you in like Alice in Wonderland, some lay out like a map from The Lord of the Rings, and others scroll possibilities in real time like code in the Matrix. Each person's soul book is live, updating in each instant through the constant flow of prana or information upwards through their body and of all those connected with them tangentially, as well as other living creatures and embodied structures. During an embodied life, this resource is invaluable for those beings who work with them, including their guides, teachers, angels, healers, and others. At a glance, these beings can see what the person is doing and what impact the action has, not only for the person, but for others, and act accordingly with minimal disturbance or impact. Fortunately, we can also access our soul book not only in dream time or through various mind-altering processes, but consciously. If you can dream or daydream, then you can walk into the Akashics at any time you wish. In fact, you already do. Most people reconnect with their soul book, guides, teacher, and others at least twice a week in order to keep refreshed on the game plan and what next steps to take. So let's take a look at each one of these sections so you can get some sense where some of your dreams might be coming from. Section 1 is past lives. Almost half of every soul book is a record of our past lives listed in chronological order. These are complete records of every second lived and include not only our most recent human incarnations, but all of our pre-human lives as well. For each life recorded, the soul book will display a written text, somewhat like in-depth closed captioning on the right-hand page, and a picture on the left. This picture is basically a portal into a virtual replay of the life. Looking closely at the picture or putting a hand on it will allow you to seemingly fall into it. The display is a recording, so while you will feel what is going on, recognize people, seem to be really there, no one will see you, and you cannot interact with anyone or change the events. When you're done reviewing the life, you'll find you're back looking at your book again. This section can also display lives where we have met, worked with, loved, or hated someone previously. This doesn't mean we're working through something with the person now, but can help us understand why we trust them instinctively, are drawn to them intuitively, or what lesson they're meant to help us with in this life now. Section 2 is reintegration. A life, for soul book recording purposes, is considered complete once the soul has separated from the body. At this point, a new part of the record begins, which includes the soul's transition out of linear time, across physical planes, and back to the Akashics. Once we as a soul have remembered who we truly are and that we have returned home, we are taken into seclusion by our soul teacher and have the entirety of the life we've just lived replayed instant by instant. This is in part a postmortem of each action to see what we did, what effect it had, what moved us forward on our path, what took us sideways, and how this all weaves into the greater web of all that is. All of this wisdom, the bigger picture of how we fit into everything and how everyone and everything else fits into us, creates a reintegration record for that life. Ironically, this is what most people are looking for when retrieving information from the past life section. It can be more difficult to access, however, as it doesn't provide a VR interface. As the information is so comprehensive, integrates things which are not linear time related, and so have no readily available symbol system to represent them visually or experientially, it can be difficult to access without conscious intent. When reading a soul book consciously, this section displays as text, which, when read, feeds the information directly into the person like a time-release vitamin. Information will become available layer by layer over time as needed. Section 3 is about your soul's identity. This section records who we are when we're not embodied, which is fully 90% of a soul's existence. Most people are unable to read this section of their own soul book, however. Just as we aren't able to see the backs of our own head without the aid of a mirror, we can't remember who we truly are for ourselves. The pages in this section can appear blank, filled with a light so bright you can't look at it, or glued together so you can't open them. The information in this section is often the most easily recognizable in dreams, however. Scenes where angels appear, we're confronted by gods or spiritual figures, we find ourselves in the middle of events which create or destroy the world, are often information from this section being given to us in the vocabulary available to embodied souls. If we sit with the dreams long enough, let go of them as some message we're meant to do something with, and instead allow the experience to unfold as a description of what we truly are, we can begin to unpack the meaning and how it is relevant to our now. Section 4 is about careers. As there is no linear time outside of embodied life, therefore there is no such thing as an old or young soul. Yet souls do learn, mature, and grow through identifiable stages. Mature souls are those which have moved beyond focusing solely on their own becoming and have incorporated service into their existence. I liken this to being an adult human and having a career. If a soul has matured to a point where they have expanded to unfold service as a part of who they have become, then what they are and how they manifest this into the all that is will be listed in this section. It's not unusual for people who are interested in this information to access not only their soul book, but an additional record or career book. This is not specific to them, but a reference book available to all who undertake or are interested in the type of service they perform. It's usually smaller, more colorful, and less worn than a soul book, and easier to read. Section 5 are notes on this life. Prior to entering into an embodied life, we make extensive plans. This is in part because life is complicated and we have quite a bit to achieve over a span of decades, and also because every living being has free will. Not only do we have the ability to choose what we do in every instant, but so does everyone else. So, like the most complicated NASA mission ever undertaken, we attempt to plan for every contingency. These plans are the beginning of the notes section of each soul book, which includes all the information concerning why we chose our parents, what we intended for our childhood versus what we actually lived through, what lessons we came here to learn, the goals we expected to achieve, whether we have contracts yet unfulfilled, where we intended to live and how, if we agreed to have children or not, and how many, what careers we intended, and so on. Once we have embodied, the current notes section continues to update, adjust, and extrapolate from every interaction, thought, emotion, and mood we have in order for us to navigate in a constantly manifesting world. It provides a continual update on our progress so we can see how much we've achieved, what is still possible, how much better it can all be, and how we can manifest or enhance our best life now. This displays somewhat like the code of the Matrix, constantly in movement as we and the people around us, even those 7 steps removed, make choices and avoid others. This is where beings look for the information necessary to understand and work with us. It's also the section most commonly read by readers of all sorts. Section 6 is the relationship map. This section contains records of every single person we have interacted with, those we intended to connect to, and those we may meet at some point. It displays a bit like a family tree with thumbnails of people connected to us like branches going all directions. When we have dreams where we meet someone we know but see them in a different role, or find a person in a dream is familiar to us, even though we know we've never met them, we're connecting to the information in this section. How the person looks now or how they have looked in their most recent incarnation will display in the thumbnail, but by entering into the picture, we can access not only a tremendous amount of detail about their current life, but also soul-level information about who they truly are. Section 7 is the opportunity map. The last section of a soul book is like an extensive map insert in the back of a book which unfolds leaf after leaf. It takes all the active information in Section 5, notes on this life, and translates it into discrete units of opportunities or individual choices. Displayed somewhat like a March Madness basketball or World Cup schedule where boxes are connected by lines to other boxes, this map will unfold to your current box, the one which represents the moment you are living, and then display all the opportunities raying out from it. These boxes are a bit like the pictures in the past lives section, but rather than being a VR replay, they're active. In each is a symbolic representation of the situation which is updating in real time and directly connected to physical life. Most opportunity boxes can be viewed from above but not entered directly. However, the current box, as a representation of the life you're living in this moment, is a portal where you can enter and interact. Your current box will show you where things in your life are stuck, where changes can be made, or even direct you to let go and move forward by providing you a road to walk. This road is actually the line between boxes, and in walking it, you move things forward to the next opportunity. This rarely happens if there's a choice which you haven't yet made between the road more or less traveled, but will be clear and compelling when a choice has already been made and you simply haven't acted on it yet. Each of us works with our soul book instinctively and regularly in our dreams. Our guides also use it liberally to help us throughout each moment of the day. If you want more insight and information from your book, you can ask them or any of the other helpers you work with, and they should be able to provide you with a wealth of information. You can also access your soul book directly and consciously using the same methods you use in Dreamtime. Through simple meditations, you can query your book on any issue, get its help and guidance for any goal, and remember wisdom which can help you navigate this complex and amazing world we live in. Reading your soul book is really a conversation between your embodied self and your fully integrated self. Just like really good conversations in embodied life, they can progress, leaping from one subject to another, seemingly at random, but with one thread of interconnectedness. The joy of the interaction can make them seem to fly. Soul books display information in a variety of formats. Experiential media is akin to virtual reality where you are joining the story in progress. After asking for information on a book, you may find a visual emerging from the book which expands until it envelops you. During the experience, everything will feel and seem very real other than the fact you are unable to influence it. This is a playback of an event or a visual description of information and so can't be manipulated any more than words on a printed page you're reading. People will not see you and objects cannot be moved. However, you will experience everything as if you're there. When the replay is complete, the VR experience will deflate or retract and you will find yourself back in your chair in the library facing your book. Another variation of this is what I call the Alice in Wonderland effect. Portions of your soul book have pictures on the left-hand page with accompanying text on the right. The picture is not static, but a portal into experiential media. By touching it or even concentrating your eyes on it for a moment, you'll be drawn into it like Alice falling down the rabbit hole. Once the playback is complete, you'll be returned to your chair with no discernible motion. Just, I was here, now I'm back. In my Akashic Record Level 2 class, you can learn how to work consciously with each of these sections intentionally. I also host live classes and workshops on my Patreon for those who want to improve their fluency and see how far the rabbit hole can go. And that's all the time we have this week. If you're interested in knowing more, check out my website, akashicreading.com. Thank you to my patron of honor this week, Amy. If you're enjoying this podcast, please consider supporting it by subscribing on Patreon. For just $5 a month, you can join in weekly patron-only classes, see all my other offerings, and get regular updates about what I'm working on at patreon.com/TerryUktana. Thanks. Bye.